Hello, my friends. This is Lloyd Albritton. Thanks for joining me again on the Lloyd Albritton YouTube podcast, Lloyd Albritton Commentaries. Before I begin this week's commentary, let me just remind you once again: don't forget to like, share, and what's the other one? Subscribe, and don't forget to comment if you have a thought on it. Today's commentary: the Albritton and Barlow Family Reunion. We've always had robust family reunions in our family. As far back as I can remember, the hub of our Albritton and Barlow family reunion has been my paternal grandparents on my father's side, who were Marion Hubbard Albritton, and dates of their lives will follow: 1890 to 1975. Marion Hubbard Albritton, 1890 to 1975, and Julia Victoria Barlow, 1893 to 1978. Each of these family stalwarts grew up in big families. Papa Hubbard was one of 4 boys and 6 sisters born to Pleasant Lanier Albritton, 1856 to 1943, and to Martha Eliza Jane Evans. Got a few extra names there. Martha Eliza Jane Evans, 1860 to 1938. Mama Julie was the daughter of T.R. Barlow. The T.R., he always signed his name and went by T.R. Theodore Rufus, to the best of our understanding, was what those letters stood for, but he always went by T.R. Barlow, 1845 to 1901, and his wife, Julia Ann Joyner, 1857 to 1933. T.R. was a Civil War veteran and a prolific producer of children. He fathered 5 children with his first wife, whose name was Mary Ann Etheridge, 1847 to 1878. And when Mary died in childbirth, he married 21-year-old Julia Joyner just shortly thereafter, after her death. And together they bore and raised 12 more children. T.R.'s progeny spanned such a long period of time that his oldest son, Frank was his middle name, his oldest son, Frank, ended up marrying his stepmother's sister, Amanda Joyner. Got that? Kind of like being your own grandpa. The father and the son married sisters. T.R.'s youngest son, whose name was Uriah, was born to his first wife, Mary, who died in childbirth, was given over to Mary's sister to raise, and his surname was subsequently changed to Tanner. Now, when it came to producing children, Papa and Mom Albritton were no slouches either. Together, and this mostly through the years of the Great Depression, 1929 to 1941, they bore and raised 8 children. And that's not including Grandma's first birth of stillborn twins. Those children are named as follows, with the number of their children I'll indicate after the name. Aunt Agnes, 12 children. Aunt Gwendolyn, 2. Aunt Ruby, 2. Aunt Gladys, 2. Aunt Jean, 1. Bud, my father, 6. Aunt Edna, 6. And Aunt Yvonne, 3. Now, Hubbard and Julie Albritton have passed on now, as have all of their 8 children and some of their many grandchildren. As I pen this narrative, I, Lloyd Albritton, the second son of Marion Howard, a.k.a. Bud Albritton, and Ossie Lee Tullis, am fast approaching 76 years of age and am a bona fide senior citizen. With more years behind me than there are ahead. Harkening back to the days of yesteryear, however, most poor Southern folks did not travel very far from home in those days, So the Albritons and the Barlows grew up in the same general areas. They played together, they went to school together, they worked together, and they ended up marrying one another and having big families. Consequently, they got together for family reunions regularly. Robust family reunions were held in my family every year on through my childhood, into the 1950s mostly, and continued well into my adult years. I was born in 1947 into a big bubble of cohorts known as baby boomers. Now, we baby boomers are all senior citizens now and are spread about upon the earth. Our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren have spread even broader across the land than we. They have not played together at the family reunions and schoolyards as we did. In fact, they barely know one another. Our beloved reunion traditions would seem to be in peril, perishing by a slow death of extinction from lack of interest. But lo, perhaps there is hope. In recent years, there's been a huge resurgence of interest in genealogical research around the world. In times past, serious researchers had to personally visit dusty courthouse archives, old graveyards, old Bibles, journals, and diaries to find all these ancestral records. Nowadays, hundreds of volunteer recording teams and camera crews visit courthouses, archives, and depositories all over the world to record and index, which is to peruse, verify, and organize old handwritten records, which can then be digitized and uploaded to a computer database containing information on millions, even billions, of people who have lived in the past. These include immigration records, Social Security records, voting records, census records, military draft records, and so forth. Accessing this giant database only requires a household computer, either a desktop or a laptop, an internet connection, and then going to www.familyhistory.org. That's www.familyhistory.org to subscribe to a free membership, absolutely free, to the largest ancestral database in the world. Training, including computers and internet connections, are available for anybody, absolutely free, at thousands of family history research centers at locations all over the world. You can find the closest research center to you at the website I have just listed, the www.familyhistory.org. Sophisticated search engines can now match names, dates, and myriad other information from the input of millions of users. Just begin by entering your own name, then your parents' names, then your grandparents' names, and so forth. And as you add your information, the computer will scan its huge database, and it will alert you of other family descendants, other family connections. Now, this is a far cry from just a few years ago when my mother's clumsy book of remembrance with its many long paper sheets of family trees and family group forms, all handwritten and tediously gathered from dusty depositories and graveyards in neighboring counties, was her one-of-a-kind and only copy of this precious record. How did all this come about? Well, in the last two verses of the Old Testament, Malachi prophesied, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." That's Malachi chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. Remember Elijah, anybody? Elijah, who was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind on a chariot of fire. That's in 2 Kings 2 and 11. Is it possible that this very Elijah who was taken up to heaven in the flaming chariot, has already made his prophesied visit before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and that he has already begun his divine mission of turning the heart of the fathers to the children and the heart of the children to their fathers? Is it possible that the current tsunami of interest in family history research throughout the world is the result of the spirit of Elijah, pervading the hearts and minds of God's elect? What do you suppose is the meaning of all this? Is family history about nothing more than human curiosity, ancestral names and birth dates and burial places? Or is it about much more? Indeed, it is not the various dates of events in the lives of our ancestors that seems to interest us the most, but the stories of their lives. It's the stories that help us to intimately know and understand our ancestors and to find real joy in our connections with them. This is really no different than our relationship with our living family members. You know, we build closer relationships with our parents and our brothers and sisters and our cousins, not just by sharing birthdays, but through sharing the events of our storied lives. We all hope to see those we have loved and intimately known here in our lives in the hereafter. Is it possible that through the spirit of Elijah, we can now come to actually know our ancestors as well? By learning not just the dates of their coming and going, but also through the stories of their lives. If it were so, would that not add immensely to our joy when we come together in the hereafter to meet in person family members who we've already come to know and love? As I catch the vision of it all, I've come to look forward to each and every family reunion we have with great excitement. Oh, how great it is to have family and kinsmen both in this life and in the hereafter. I encourage everyone to attend your scheduled family reunions and begin to talk to your relatives and trade information with them and find out more about your family. I believe that those who do this will quickly catch the spirit of Elijah and will be blessed with new truth and understanding not heretofore known.